it's a Sunday morning here and it's October. Oh, you want a drink? It's actually extremely humid, so I'm thinking there's probably storms building up. Just come in from feeding the birds. It's just so hot. But anyway, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is how do you piece together your painting. Okay, so I've started this one here. It's a commission for a lady called Julia, so a little shout out to Julia. And she wants her self-portrait with all her pets. So as you can see behind me, I've already sketched up Julia. This time I actually used a bit of a grid in the design just so I could get her face proportions right, because she's got a bit of an odd angle and she's kissing towards her animals. I'm still in two minds about whether I want her eyes to actually be looking at the audience or whether I want her eyes to actually turn to one of her pets, because obviously she's making a kissing motion. And you know, we've got to think about the design. Do we want her kissing at the viewer or do we want her kissing at her pets? And I'm thinking naturally she'd probably be kissing at her pets, so that's a question I'll ask her in a moment. But what I wanted to show you is composition of all the animals. So to start off with, on my phone I've already got all the photos that have been sent to me. That's right, Chesney. I will show you just quickly what I do to organise my photos. So if you've got an iPhone, obviously you can set up albums. I actually make an album for each one of my clients. So if I scroll through, I've actually got the Julia self-portrait album. So I'll click on that. All the photos that she sent me, I've got in here, as you can see. So I've got some different portraits of Julia herself. There's the one that we're going from, where she did a selfie with her birds. But of course, we need to have all these beautiful birds involved. So, you know, we've got the ringnecks, we've got beautiful ringnecks. You know, we've got the cockatiel, we're actually adding in a cat and dog, which I totally forgot about, and that's okay. So I'm going to play around with that today and show you how we do that. Alright, so birds. We need to have the two Amazons in there, Jazz and Jinx. They're very important, they're a central part of Julia's pets. They're the star of the show, so there's a lot of Jazz and Jinx there. And of course, anyone that's doing a portrait, obviously you need lots of different angles. I used so many photos when I did my self-portrait just to get my eyes right and my mouth right. So I said to Julia, can you send me a whole bunch of different shots of yourself? So she's done that as well. Different shots of the birds, just so I can go through and I can pick the angles. So we've got two Alexandrines there that we've got to add in. There we go. Okay, so my challenge is, I've already set out the canvas. How am I going to fit all these animals in there? And am I going to have to make some hard decisions, like redraw Julia smaller in order to fit the animals in? Or am I going to have them actually clustered around her and crowded in and give it a really closed in fun feel, which I know Julia was keen to do that, so we're probably going to aim for that. Are you liking that, Penny Chesney? That's really good, hey? Okay, so let's see what we're going to do first. Okay, so always make sure I'm prepared. You don't have to have any fancy containers for your stuff. I actually do have fancy containers for some of my paint stuff that my stepdaughter Peyton bought me for Christmas. These cute little jars, and I'll label them. But anyway, you can build up to that sort of stuff. I just keep a butter container to put my eraser and my sharpener and my pencils in. Probably need to get some new pencils at some stage, so I'm just going to sharpen myself up. Okay. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is go for the big animals. So I'm going to look at the cat and the dog photos. Forgive me, Julia, I've forgotten the name of your cat and your dog, so I'm just going to quickly go through the messages and check. I feel really bad not knowing their names. It's one of those things that's really important. Shadi is the dog and Bahindi is the cat, so that's awesome. Alright, so lots of cat shots. I'm liking this photo right here because it shows me the relative size of the cat and the dog's bodies and heads compared to Julia, so that gives me something to work on. So even though they look really cranky there. The cat looks cranky anyway. You know, we're going to work with this. And that's another challenge that you've got to look at, you know. Ask, if you're doing commission portraits of people's pets and they say, I really want a photo of my cat, get them to send lots of photos of their cat, because then you can choose the best of all of them, and you might go, hey, I really love that body position, but the face is really wrong, so I'm going to choose a face from a different one. Obviously, Bahindi's face is cranky there. So, I'm actually thinking at this spot I'm going to leave, I can't remember if that's Jazz or Jinx, but I'm going to leave him there. And I put that there as well as a starting point, just so I can remember in my head roughly how big an Amazon's head is next to a human. And then we're going to work from that. So I'm thinking, the thing I always do is I rough in stuff first. So he's there with his little claw up. I'm actually thinking it's going to be pretty cool to squash in a cat or a dog here, and then maybe have another one there. But I want to save this space for all the ring necks and stuff. So, you know, it's really important to work out your composition. You've got to balance stuff out. So I've got a big bird here. I'll probably have another big bird up here. So I might have Jinx, like the other Amazon, poking its head out there. So I'll just rough it in by putting in just blobs of blob, just so I know I've got a thing here. Okay, there's a thing there. There's a thing sitting here. And I'm thinking Alexandrine. Alright, I'm thinking another Alexandrine over this side, maybe ducking its head forward. So I'm going to play around with that after. Definitely thinking cat and dog both squashed in here, because they look like they squash nicely together as it is. So definitely thinking this could be cute. Alright, so Shardy, the dog, has a smaller head than the cat. There you go. But they definitely would have bigger heads than an Amazon. So, I'm thinking cat's head. We don't want a cat next to a bird. Why don't we have the dog there, and we'll have the cat down here. And he can even still have his sour face if he really wants to. So whatever. Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get my razor. I'm going to clear a space for this cat. Okay, and now I'm going to go through all the photos of the cat, Bahindi. Actually, really good name. And I'm going to see if I can find a face where he's kind of looking. You know what? I like that face, but it's facing sort of that way. And you want your eye to be drawn to the middle of the painting. So even though cat's facing that way, maybe I should put the cat over here. I'm actually going to reverse this photo around so I can actually do that. So I'm just going to open another program that I can do that. So I used Pick Monkey to actually reverse the photo of Bahindi. So I've done that now. I'll just go back in here. Done. Reversed cat. Okay. Let's add him. Another thing to remember here is painting is only as good as the drawing, so make sure right back at the drawing stage that you get the drawing as spot on as you can. Is extremely important, and I am always telling my students this and they hate this bit. Okay, so let's have a little sticky beak here. We've got these two dogs, we've got this cat and this dog, alright, and we have an Amazon parrot. Now, something looks a little bit wrong here, okay? Someone is the wrong size, because an Amazon is not as big as a cat or a dog or whatever. They're pretty big birds. They're slightly smaller than a macaw, I suppose. So, because Julia doesn't have any photos of her with the Amazons, I've actually googled Amazon on someone's shoulder, That's literally what I put in. And I found this photo just so I can get a bit of an idea of how big this bird actually is. Most Amazons are similar, most of them are similar size. This particular Amazon is one of the breeds that Julia has, so that works, and they're both similar size. So I'm having a look at this bird and I need to compare it with the size of a human head, just to make sure I got him right. Now, that's the biggest thing. So we have the head size, we need to look at proportionally, head with head. So if I think he's right, then possibly I have to make them bigger. So I'll go back to my photos, I'll go back to my photo of Julia with Bahindi and her puppy, and I'm just going to sit back far up, further away from the artwork, and I'm actually going to really critically look at this and go, well, which one is wrong? Because these three animals, there is someone that's wrong here. So I need to sit back and really look at it. That is a small dog. It is a really small dog next to Julia's head. So possibly the dog probably could go a tiny bit bigger. And I'm thinking the cat could as well. So there's a big possibility. And again, people that do digital stuff, this is where they're like, all I have to do is click a mouse and go drag, enhance. When you're doing traditional art, you don't have that luxury. This is my drag and enhance. Okay, so what I'm thinking at this point, and this is where it gets hairy, people don't want to have to scribble out something they've just done a lot of effort in. Look, I get that. I totally get that, but at the end of the day, if you want this to look really spectacular, you need to do the right thing. You can't be lazy with it. You do need to redraw if something is not right, because otherwise it's going to annoy you and it's going to annoy the person that you're doing it for forever. And once you get paint on this thing, it's really hard to change that. So it's really, really important that right back at the drawing stage, like I said before, you need to get everything on point. Okay, so let's do some fixing. Okay, for our next set of animals we've got to put in, we've done our two biggest, so now we're going to do our next biggest bird. So we've got Jinx, the yellow-faced Amazon. Now I'm going to put in Jazz. I'm thinking of balancing, again composition. I've got Jinx here, I'm going to put Jazz up here. So I'm actually going to put him on an angle on the side to get the drawing right. Remembering it's Amazon, so the head's got to be the same as that. So I'm going to start with the head. Get that rough head size in first, then I can do the rest. Next, I am looking at the next biggest are the Alexandrines. So we've got Hilton and Gizmo. So let's look for the photos of Hilton and Gizmo. That's them there. And then we've got more there. So lots of photos of Hilton and Gizmo. They're so cute. Right, so I'm thinking, let's start with here. This one here is going to be one. So I've got to still have room for the ring necks. Okay, so I'm going to put an Alexandrine here. Ring necks are funny. Ring necks go upside down. I can fit the ring necks in anywhere. Okay, Alexandrine here, Alexandrine here. So this one's going to be sitting upright and looking in. So what I'm thinking could be Hilton. I'm just going to really have a good look at all the pictures and decide what I want. I like the idea of one bending down. I might have something bending down anyway. It might be a ring neck. I'm going to do that, I think. But let's start with... Yeah, I think I want to do Hilton. And I think I want him leaning in. He's still looking away, but I could turn him around and have him looking at her as well. So again, I might use my pick monkey and I'm just going to spin him around. Edit photo, find Hilton, camera roll, go to the outer camera roll, go to Julia's, and let's find the little guy. Here he is. Edit, go to crop, and we're going to transform, and we're just going to flip it like that. That's all we're going to do. Then I'm going to go yes, save to camera roll, thank you, Bob's your uncle. Now I've got to go back to camera roll, find that, and then add, not edit, I've done it again. Select, add to Julia's photos, and now I'll go back to Julia's photos, and then I've got him facing the right way. So let's add this little guy up here. Now, Alexandrines are only fairly small. So again, I need to quickly just go back and get a reference of how big we're actually talking for a head. I'm thinking that is a head. So that gives me a basis. spent a really good few hours drawing this, making sure it's right, but I'm feeling pretty happy with it. I'll take a couple of snapshots now and send it to Julia and see what she thinks, and once I get a thumbs up from Julia, I will begin painting. So there you have it. If you have any questions or queries again, or you'd like to see some more process of what I do with my painting, don't forget to make a comment in the comments section, because as always I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to do responding videos to any questions that you guys have about my painting and my art process. Again, as always, don't forget you're welcome to share my stuff, and please consider subscribing, because that way you guys will get the notifications of all the latest updates. I don't always share everything I put on YouTube on other social media like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, so if you subscribe you'll be ensuring that you actually get all my video content. But thank you again, and yeah, time to start painting.